In the beginning of this video, I am finishing up a demonstration that I started for the Winslow Art Center this past week. And this demonstration was, well, I took a portion of a black and white painting that I had done, and I had started the underpainting based on that little portion. And, in demos, many times, live demos, I get to a point where I need to stop because I need to ponder, well, what is it that I'm going to do? How am I going to bring this to a conclusion? And at the time, it's kind of hard for me to think about that because I am working in front of people, and I need to just take a step back and let it sit and look at it periodically and say, well, now what does this need? What do I need to do? Do I need to flip it upside down, sideways? Do I need to add a different color that I've not thought about? What part of the pastel do I want to stand out, to emphasize? Well, how am I going to do that? Is it going to be through color, mark making, more contrast, adding a different color, all of those things that I have to ask myself. So I take a photograph, look at the photograph, see what stands out, what doesn't stand out. So I just decided with this one that what I was going to do is this portion here that I'm working on, it's kind of in the middle. That is my emphasis, and I'm making that more of an emphasis through mark making. I'm going to make some more jagged mark making, and I really want to keep that contrast of the blue. I'm going to add blue-green, blue-violet, ultramarine blue, and some white, and really try to emphasize that area through mark making and contrast. So, and the other areas I'm going to try, like on the lower left, kind of make that less important. And I'm going to do that through kind of taking some lighter colors and going over that to just make it maybe more of a hazy look. So that's what I'm doing here. The materials that I'm using, the pastels that I'm using to finish this up, because I did have quite a bit of pastel on there before I started to make some revisions. So I really picked some soft pastels, and I'm still using some unisons and some Mount Vision, which is what I was just using with that really light warm color, but I'm also using some Townsend pastels because they make such a bold, thick mark that really stands out. And so that's what I want towards the end here, are some marks that really are bold and more dramatic, that show up better. So a lot of times I will save those pastels till the end. So, and putting in some little pops of light, some little marks. I'm starting to do some mark making of different kinds in certain areas. I'm not making this into any kind of a flower painting at all. It's more of an abstract, but I am tempted a lot of times to start putting in some, kind of organic lines, but I am putting in some straight lines too because I saw some of those straight lines from the underpainting. So, this is a whole process where in the beginning I have an idea. It was based on that black and white portion, and I start, but I just keep going with it, and I change directions, and it's more of an intuitive process that has gotten easier for me through time, but only because I've done it now so many times. So I'm not saying that this is wonderful and turning out. It's just that much of what I do now doesn't involve a lot of pre-planning or like analytical thought on my part. I put a mark down, it calls for another mark. I put color down, it calls for a different color. But the color you can see that I'm working with here is mostly cool blues and then some greenish blues, some types of turquoise or some green earth colors. So it's just a range of, well, I want to make this darker, I want to make this lighter. It's really kind of an exercise in value. This is a very much almost a monochromatic color of painting, but it is analogous because I'm using ultramarine blue, turquoise, and I'm even putting in some violet towards the end. So all of those colors, which I've just started to find are just more appealing to me, these blues. So I go with it. When I find a color that I think, oh, I love that color, then I just keep going with it until another color strikes me and I go with that. So that's what's going on in this video. So stay tuned for the second part where I'm going to experiment with a different kind of a fluid acrylic for an underpainting. Okay, I think I might, how about if I put a little bit of this right. All right, see, let's see here. Okay, that's kind of nice. I kind of like that. I think I might put that over here. Okay. What a bit right up here, too. Alrighty, how about a little bit of maybe that. I'm not sure that's the right color. Alrighty, I think I'm gonna stop on that. Alrighty, I think I'm gonna stop. Alrighty. Okay, I'm done, I think. I'm experimenting with some new fluid acrylic, micaceous iron oxide. So I'm putting it on two different halves of this paper, one with no underpainting and one with a phthalo blue underpainting. And then I'm going to dry it and see what happens. Okay. Okay, I think I'm going to dry brush instead. I think I'm going to use another dry brush maybe. Okay. Okay, let's dry it over the blue. has a very sparkly appearance. So I thought I'd use a dry brush, and it's not black, it is more of a brown. So I'm just putting it on here over the color just to see what might or might not happen. That's kind of what I'm, just little test pieces, and I only bought that small bottle because I wasn't sure what might happen or how I even wanted to use it or if I wanted to use it. So I'm gonna see if there's any texture from just applying that like I did. So I'm gonna dry it with my hair dryer. Okay, so now I'm gonna see just what is it going to do. I can feel it's not like the clear gesso, but there is a type of a texture here. And I can feel it as I apply this charcoal right here. And I put the phthalo blue here and put the micaceous oxide over it. There was a little left in the brush here, so it kind of made a different color here, which is interesting. So I'm just experimenting on this because I had the micaceous oxide once in a hard or a heavy body acrylic, and it dried up, and I've never bought the fluid acrylic, so I thought I would just give it a try. And I'm just going to use some of the same pastels that I've had sitting out. I've got some Giraud here. Would I use this? How would I go about using it? Would I put it all over the paper? Would I just put it in a portion? That's what I'm looking at, trying to figure out, how. That's why I bought the little bottle, so I could just kind of experiment with it and see how is it going to work. It's got a little texture to it. Of course, the more full strength you put it, the more texture it has. So I might try doing a pastel with the micaceous oxide just to see how it might work. I kind of like that sparkle. I like doing things like this, just kind of practices, just to see how something works. Because when you get something new, you have no idea how it's going to work. You don't know, so you have to play around with it and see what it does. And this is something new for me, and I thought, well, I'm going to try this and see if I like it. And the only way to do that is to kind of mess around with it like I'm doing right now. I kind of like this side here where I've left some of the paper bare and some of the paper has the oxide. And so, yeah, this might be what I might try is just using the micaceous oxide as an underpainting and giving it a go and seeing what will happen. Let me put down some pastel here. It's kind of nice just to have a little bit of that sparkle pop through, a different kind of an effect. So I kind of like that. I saw some dramatic paintings one time by somebody that were very, very glittery. And I really liked them. They were very abstract. This maybe is one of the things that she might have used to create this. And so this might be something that I give more of a try to see. I'll have to think about it. You know, is it going to be non-objective? Is it going to be have flowers in it? Is it going to be just kind of organic? Kind of fun to play with. Just to have the kind of the essence of a sparkle. You know, I really like this side right here, and I think it would be a lot of fun to just create something that is earthy and just has a little bit of the sparkle to it. So something for you to try if you want to try something different. I'm always kind of like, well, what is something I haven't tried that I could try? And this might be something that I'm going to experiment with. Kind of like this effect. You know, and you could just apply it in a portion somewhere and then put clear gesso somewhere else. Do you have to have, you know, a grit everywhere? Maybe not. I know someone who does wonderful pastels and only uses watercolor paper, and he roughs it up with sandpaper. So there is something new to try. Go over it with the charcoal, and some of that sparkle is still there on the paper. Something fun to try, which is, I think, what I'm going to do. I just thought I'd share with you my experimentation for today. If you've got new material, you're not sure how to use it, this is what you need to do. You need to just kind of play around with it, see what it will do, see if you like it. Sometimes you don't know whether you like it right at first. And maybe the first few things that you do with the new material are like, I'm not so sure I like that. And it's not until you do more of it that you think, oh, I do kind of like that. I like what happened there. So that's probably what's going to happen with me with this. I can see that even as I put the pastel on top of this, there's still evidence of a bit of a sparkle, which is kind of cool, I think. So anyway, there's my experiment, and you might like to try micaceous oxide. This is MICACEOUS iron oxide. So you can get it in fluid acrylic and also heavy body acrylic.